Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of the corporate jungle. You know, sometimes these companies file reports that are drier than a desert, but this one, well, let's just say it might have some interesting twists and turns. Before we dive in, make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you never miss an analysis. Also, if you want to connect with fellow corporate nerds and get more exclusive content, join our Discord server, linked in the description below. So today we are dissecting Veralto Corporation's annual report, the big one, the 10K. This is essentially their yearly checkup where they tell us how they did financially and what they expect for the future. Veralto operates in two main areas: water quality and product quality and innovation. Think of them as the guardians of the world's vital resources through technology. Let's look at the money because that's usually the headline. In 2025, Veralto saw total sales jump up by 6% compared to the year before. That might sound good, but a big chunk of that increase came from currency exchange rates and small acquisitions. What Veralto calls core sales, which is a better way to see the actual business growth, only went up by 4.7%. That is still growth, but it is slower than what their top line number suggests. Within their water quality segment, sales climbed by almost 6%. This part of the business includes brands like Harch and Trojan Technologies, which are all about keeping our water clean and safe. It seems like people are willing to pay a bit more for these essential services, which is a good sign even with rising costs for materials and labor. The product quality and innovation segment saw sales rise by 6.2%. This segment helps companies with marking, coding, and packaging to ensure product safety and authenticity. Brands like Videojet and Pantone fall under this umbrella. Price increases here were a bit stronger at 2.6%, contributing nicely to growth. Now let's talk about costs. Their cost of sales went up by 5.6%. That means it cost them more to make their products. But here is the interesting part: their gross profit margin, which is the money left after paying for production, actually stayed pretty much the same at nearly 60%. This suggests they managed to pass on some of those increased costs to their customers through higher prices. That is a critical skill for any company, especially in tough economic times. When we look at selling general and administrative expenses, SG&A, which covers things like marketing and salaries, SG and expenses as a percentage of sales ticked up slightly. This means they spent a bit more on running the business relative to their sales. They attribute this to higher labor costs and investments in sales and marketing, trying to push for more growth. Overall operating profit margins for Veralto were 2.3% in 2025, which is a tiny dip from 2.3% in 2024. This small decrease is due to a few factors, including some strategic initiatives and changes in tax-related items, but the core business performance was still solid. Now for something that always catches my eye, goodwill. This is the accounting value assigned to brand reputation and other intangible assets when a company buys another company. Veralto's goodwill is quite large, standing at $2.8 billion. They test this goodwill for impairment regularly to make sure it is still worth that much. Happily, in 2025, they reported no goodwill impairment charges, which is good news, meaning their past acquisitions are still holding their value on paper. Let's talk debt. Veralto has a significant amount of debt on its books, totaling $2.7 billion. A good chunk of this $700 million is due within the next year. This means they will need to either pay it off or refinance it soon, a potentially costly endeavor. On the cash flow side, Veralto generated $1.1 billion from its normal business operations. This is a healthy increase from the previous year and shows their core businesses are still bringing in good money. This cash is crucial for them to invest in new products, acquire other companies, and pay dividends to shareholders. Reading through the historical financial data before the separation from Danaher, it becomes clear that Veralto was deeply integrated into its former parent. These numbers are presented as if Veralto was separate, but the reality before September 2023 was different. This separation made them an independent company and changed how their finances were reported. Looking at their total assets, they've grown from $6.4 billion in 2024 to almost $7.7 billion by the end of 2025. This growth is driven by both assets in their core businesses, water quality and product quality and innovation, and a significant amount of other assets, which can include things like investments and deferred tax assets. On the other side of the balance sheet, their liabilities also grew primarily due to that current portion of long-term debt I mentioned. But stockholders' equity also saw a big jump from $2 billion to $3.1 billion. This is mainly due to retained earnings growing significantly, which means the company is keeping more of its profits rather than paying them all out. Now for the risks, Veralto is not shy about outlining the dangers they face. Cybersecurity is a major concern. They highlight the risk of disruptions or breaches in their IT systems and data privacy violations. This is something all companies are grappling with, and for Veralto, with their focus on critical resources, it could have serious consequences. Another big risk is market performance. They acknowledge acknowledge their growth depends on the markets they serve doing well. If those markets slow down or don't grow as expected, Veralto's own growth will suffer. This is a constant worry for any business, but especially for one operating in diverse global markets with varying economic conditions. Veralto seems like a company with a solid foundation in essential industries. Their water quality and product quality segments address real-world needs, and their recurring revenue model is a big strength. The increase in retained earnings shows profitability and a smart approach to reinvesting profits. However, there are a few things to watch. That debt load, especially the portion coming due soon, is a point of concern. They need to manage that carefully. Also, the slight dip in operating profit margins, while small, warrants attention to see if it is a temporary blip or the start of a trend. Their reliance on acquisitions for some of that growth also means they need to keep making smart deals. In conclusion, Veralto appears to be navigating a complex market reasonably well. Their commitment to vital resources gives them a stable base, but they need to keep innovating and managing their financial risks closely. Alright, that is our deep dive into Veralto's 2025 annual report. What are your thoughts on their performance and their future prospects? Let me know in the comments below if you found this breakdown helpful. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more corporate insights. And don't forget to join our Discord community. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.